Robert Peterson's mom, Yong A, loved nurturing her plants, watching them thrive and blossom, just like her two sons.
She was just happy that we came through and we were good people.
Her 39-year-old son now lives in her home, filled with her spirit, though his heart has weighed heavy ever since she was murdered a year ago.
I couldn't get the day out of my head. And my mother was 63 before she passed away. And I want to remember her for those 63 years that she gave me, rather than this one day that he took her away.
An orphan in South Korea, she fell in love and married an African-American soldier, her life full of struggle, determination, and love for her children and grandchildren.
My mother was a traditional Korean woman. She loved family. She loved to work. She loved to cook. She was a little silly at times, goofy. And I know that if she was here, she would have been angry.
Last March, Yong A was one of 8 people shot and killed at 3 Asian-owned or operated spas 30 miles apart in the Atlanta, Georgia area. 6 of the victims, Asian women. The horrific mass shooting captured the attention of the nation, already reeling from a string of seemingly endless attacks against AAPI Americans. The killer's last location, aromatherapy, where Yong A worked at the front door, greeting customers and monitoring security cameras.
She opened the door and he shot her. My mother probably would have answered the door with a smile.
She would have seen his humanity.
She would have seen him for a person. And he didn't allow none of these people to express their humanity to him.
Shortly after he was arrested, the suspect told Cherokee County sheriffs that his murders weren't motivated by race, but sex addiction, and that he was just, quote, having a bad day.
He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate.
And to me, it really was hurtful that they humanized the perpetrator. He got the benefit of the doubt when these victims did not. They were persecuted, they were stigmatized.
Randy Park feels his mother, Hyun-Jung Grant, experienced that same stigma throughout her life.
How would you describe how much of a mama bear she was to you?
I don't even know if I can. I don't know if I can put that into words.
Shortly after she was killed, Randy spoke with us about her selflessness as a single mom and why she initially lied to her kids about her work.
I was told that she worked at a makeup parlor with her friends.
Why do you think she shielded it from you?
Would you tell your kids you work at a massage parlor? But I can't ever shame you as long as it's with the intention of raising us.
What do you think she sacrificed along the way for your benefit?
Her whole life. Any dream or aspiration she could have had.
The 23-year-old story resonating with so many around the country. After he asked for help to cover funeral expenses, Randy's GoFundMe account ballooned to nearly $3 million, hundreds leaving kind words.
What messages stay with you as you read through those notes?
People telling me that she would have been proud of us and how we handled the situation.
It's almost as if she had a hand in making sure you're going to be okay.
I can't shake that feeling either. It just feels like she's basically pushing Eric and I along.
And the nation, thousands protested, demanding justice.
Protect our elders!
Like Atlanta-based voting rights activist Cam Ashling.
Why was that mass shooting such a galvanizing moment?
Is horrific in how it was done. And we've been having problems, so it was just like the tipping point. We're pissed off and we nationally rally to stop Asian hate. You know, it's unacceptable. It is unacceptable in America.
Last year, despite data that found a 261% increase in reports of alleged hate crimes against people of Asian descent in major cities, few were charged as such.
Cam, a Vietnam War refugee, believes the Atlanta murders revealed to others that racism against the AAPI community exists.
All of the businesses that were targeted were Asian-owned businesses. The targets of his execution were Asian women. And on top of that, he has an addiction towards Asian women. I mean, that's a race situation. Like, how can you not say that this is a hate crime?
Why do you think so many of the victims remained invisible to, in many cases, to law enforcement, to reporters?
Asian people are not into let's all shine, national media on my tragedy. Okay, we don't want our suffering and our tragedy on video forever.
And yet the national spotlight helped galvanize activists and awakened allies to rally in solidarity, which inspired Yong A's son, Robert.
We grew up both with a black father and a Korean mother. We experienced what it was like to be recognized as black. We've also were recognized as being not fully Korean or not always embraced. And my mother made it sure that we didn't have to decide, that it wasn't one or the other.
I know firsthand that the Korean American community can be very insular, frankly, at times prejudiced. But your mother would not sit with any of that.
She would not. She would be around her friends. And if they say things negative about black people, she would correct them. And she wouldn't tolerate it. And I think I learned the same thing.
Robert had protested for Black Lives Matter following George Floyd's death. Now, his fight for justice continues in court. Last July, then 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long pled guilty to the 4 murders in Cherokee County and will serve life in prison. But he's still scheduled to stand trial later this year in Fulton County, where Robert and Randy's mothers died. He's pled not guilty on those counts. The DA intends to pursue hate crime sentencing enhancements.
Why is it important to you and to so many activists that he be convicted of a hate crime?
Before we can end racism, we have to be able to see it. We have to be able to call it out. We have to be able to label it. And if we don't, then we allow the perpetrator to get away, absolving himself of accountability and responsibility.
Robert and Randy both plan on attending the trial, but justice in these circumstances can be elusive.
If you were to describe what the gunman took from you and Eric, what would you say?
One of the things that stand out to me the most is that she never, found like a true love. Like, that's what bothers me. That's one of the things that bother me the most. Because she would always tell us that everyone has someone, but she never got that chance and is never going to now.
I would argue that you and Eric were her true love.
Mm-hmm.
Once covered in flowers and messages, today some of the spas stand empty with different names, but the horror of what happened can never be erased. Robert clings to comforting memories of his mother.
This is my favorite dish because this is the first one she taught me how to make. You know, the secret to kimchi jjigae is sour kimchi. You don't want fresh kimchi.
That's right.
Kimchi jjigae. It's more than just a spicy Korean stew. It's soul food, helping heal Robert's heart.
I've been told that one day I will be able to look at her picture and smile again. Because right now, all I do is cry, or I try to avoid looking at the picture. One day I will be able to drive by certain places and not feel a sense of loss.
You didn't have that privilege of saying goodbye. What would you say to your mom?
I would just tell her that she knows I love her, and I'll make sure that I dedicate the rest of my life for people like her and people like me. I'll make her proud.
Justice for Asian women!
Coming up, fear and fortitude. Where does the Stop AAPI hate movement go from here? And we take you inside the FBI's effort to stop criminals from targeting Asian businesses.
It's occurring all throughout the country.
Stay with us.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.